Okay, so this just happened. I received this, which is an overdue fine for 500 euros. And so I absolutely had to go on socials, raise awareness on ADHD tax. People with ADHD end up spending a lot more money. This also applies to missed deadlines on scholarships. It has happened to me, to my sister, to a lot of people that I know, to, lose a lot of potential financial help because you just can't remember the deadlines. It's literally, you're blind to time.
Except this baby boy. He's not accountable for anything.
Hi everybody, welcome back. And if you're new here, my name is Borb, kind of like a verb, but more like a Borb. And today I wanted to talk to you about the price of having ADHD. Not like really, like the actual price, like financially. There's this thing called the ADHD tax. And it is a thing. Okay, I got diagnosed last year when I was 28. But up until then, my life had been a complete disaster. Even though from the outside, sometimes you can seem quite successful, or from the outside it looks like you got your shit together. Inside, undiagnosed ADHD means you're suffering. You're like burning in lava. There is emotional turbulence, instability, inability to focus on things that are actually important. But unfortunately you can't, because your brain is not importance driven, it's interest driven. So that's a little, complicates things a little bit. But today I want to talk about the financial cost of ADHD. Because we are time blind, we literally hyperfocus on certain things and we completely disregard time. It doesn't exist for us. It's not linear. It's really easy for people like us to completely forget about deadlines. And this can be quite a big problem if those deadlines are actually connected to something like scholarships or, paying your bills or even your fines. Often there is some interest that can get accumulated over time. You end up having to pay tremendous amounts of money just because the system isn't ADHD friendly. There are two main reasons why the system is not good for people like me. And it's because of, one, the overly complicated paperwork that is required to get some stuff done. It is absolutely not feasible for most people. Either you have the resources to hire somebody to do the paperwork for you, or you have to do it yourself. And doing it yourself means having enough knowledge to do things right, which not all of us do. There is this wall of awful which forms at the mere thought of having to do a complex sequence of events that lead to us getting those bills paid. When we think about what we have to do, it just overwhelms us because there's everything comes to us at the same moment and it's just too much. We don't know where to start. Literal paralysis. We're there. It's not like we don't want to pay those bills or that fine, or we don't want to, submit that document. In our mind, there are so many things going on. We can't force ourselves to start. But at the same time, we're obsessively thinking, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this. The second factor is actually the absence of reminders. Yesterday I received a fine from 2019. Okay, that was 3 years ago. I received it yesterday. What the hell is up with the Italian government? Why? Italian bureaucracy. La burocrazia italiana. This fine was 3 times the size of what it should have been, just because nobody had the decency to warn me in those 3 years that I had this fine that was unpaid. This is not even the first time that this happens. And I did a poll on Instagram asking people how many times they have received fines over the past 6 months. And half of them said that they have received countless amounts of fines. This just goes to show the ADHD tax is a real thing. It has cost my family and people that I know that have it tens of thousands of euros. It's money that you could be using to improve your life, to invest in a future, to buy better quality food for your nutrition, and yet you're paying the government or you're paying, institutions and just working extra hours to compensate for the lost amount of money. This is ADHD. He used to believe that ADHD was this thing that little boys had where they couldn't stay still at school. I would have never imagined that I had it. I was able to successfully overcome high school, university, and everything in between, and yet I have it. And what I realized was that my suffering was invisible to society, and for that reason, nobody thought that I could have it. Like, the first psychologist that I went to helped me tremendously, but when I did ADHD tests, I actually didn't even qualify as having ADHD because I, quote unquote, performed better than average on those like reaction tests. It's not just like your reaction to things. It's not just how well you do in school. That has basically nothing to do with ADHD. I mean, it can be a big factor, but there's so much more, and I just want to raise awareness on that. What has helped me and my sister and other people that I know has been finding an accountability buddy, because it's so hard to do things when we know that nobody's watching and that nobody's gonna like check that we're doing things right. But when you find that buddy that can actually track your progress, somebody who won't shame you or judge you, it's just somebody who's there to see how well you're doing. You can use me as an accountability buddy, you know, even virtually through this YouTube channel in the comments, or also through Instagram, where I often interact with people and we hold each other accountable and just there to support each other basically through life. I mean, that's what we do. Let's try to decrease the ADHD tax. Having such a great, powerful brain, because I do think that the ADHD brain is like having a Ferrari for a brain. It does come with a more complex manual, but I think that you can learn how to use it, master yourself, validate yourself, love yourself. So stay tuned, watch the rest of the videos if you haven't already, show your appreciation with a like, tell me what you think about it in the comments, and make sure to check out the community, because I'm trying to build the most wholesome community that you can find out there. So yeah, don't miss out. FOMO, it's a thing.